Hi everyone and welcome back. This session we're going to talk about tun interface. It can be quite long session and also a little bit complex, and hopefully you already know about IP route 2 and the tun interfaces because we are going to have different and variety of configuration using IP route 2. And the reason for doing so, I'm talking about tun interface even, let me go to documentation. Even the tun interface, I mean sandbox has tun interface, we want to see it in action that most proxies don't have. And if we wish to have a tun interface, how can we do it manually? So that's the reason for this session we are going to use the tun2socks. This is the application written in Go, compiled, so I downloaded that and I'm using this application to bind the tun interface I have to the socks proxy, which is sandbox 1. Why it doesn't work? Let me IP route show default route ping C488888. So we have access to that. Dig. So during the session I have to debug. Okay, that should be, that domain should be resolved. It doesn't matter because we do not need the tun interface, so I will figure out later why this page doesn't work, because we do not need that. So just knowing that it has tun interface but we do not use it for the upcoming sessions, and you're using tun2socks. So checking what we have here is the run sh, which is a simple configuration. tun2socks proxy is socks 5 1990, the previous configuration that we had, and device is tun33. We do not have this device, we are going to create it. And here I'm using the old one, the tun outbound socks is a simple one connecting to the server, and here's the server, the JQ outbound configuration. As simple as this. Sandbox run C outbound, and then sandbox run C outbound socks. Real simple, real easy. With nothing, we did nothing actually. I have nothing here. So we have the tun, but I should delete that really. IP role, delete IP link, delete tun33. Okay, so we have nothing here. We have nothing here. So, and then if I say, for example, curl x http 100.0.0.1 and ip5 api ip5.org, it goes to the tunnel. Okay, simple and easy. But we want to have a tunnel interface in order to more things like sending our full request to the tunnel, or a user or a specific port to the tunnel. So what we do, IP tun tab add div tun33. It could be anything, XYZ, just use tun33. Mode is tun. IP address at 192.168.33.230. So we have two hosts, brd div tun33, and IP link set tun33 up. Okay, IP address, we have this and we have no ping, 192.168.33.1, no ping, 33.2. We have the ping because this is our IP address that we have here. So, and then I'm going to run it. Again, see it, run it, which means connect whatever comes to this tun33 to the proxy that we have. So check it again, it's up, and we have access to both IP address. I mean, connecting 33.2, which is the local one, and which is the remote one, and it's also on this this tun2socks is responsible to taking and handling the request to this one as well. So the first thing is that if I want to send, for example, we start with a simple one. If I want to send all port 80 requests to the tunnel, so let me check here, http IP API IP ip5.org echo. We know that this is port 80 and it doesn't go to the tunnel, just directly to the internet at my IP address. So I say IP role at destination from all to D port, destination port 80, lookup for example 1000, and I already mapped 1000 ID tun2socks out. So IP role show, you see IP role. Oh, I should clean up the previous test I did. Let me do a previous test. IP role flush div flush table 128 and also flush 1000. Okay, to have nothing here. IP role show we have nothing. IP role add from all d port 80 lookup 1000. IP role show. So everything from port 80 goes to socks out, which is the IP role show table. The default table for this one, for 1000, we don't have that. IP wrote add table 1000 default will be 192, 168, 33, 1, which is the other endpoint that we have on this machine. We want to somehow connect to garbage. So I should be via. Okay, IP route show table 1000. This is the default route for this table. Actually, this is called policy-based routing, and I set it that whatever comes to port 80, it should go to this table, and that table, the via this one, I mean through this one, should go out. Okay, let's test that curl again. So port 80, did you see this? Check this. If I request to port 80, it goes to the tun, and tuns assembles that and somehow goes to the client that we have and to the server. So if I change it to 443, it doesn't go that. It doesn't go where it doesn't go to the tunnel. But if I add, for example, to port 443, also 443 goes to the tunnel. 443, it goes 443. Doesn't go to the tunnel. IP route show table 1000. Whatever. Let me check. 80 goes. 443 doesn't go. It doesn't. Shouldn't be. Oh, sorry. It's 443. 443 should go. So 443 goes to the tunnel, and also 80 goes to the tunnel. So let's delete that because this is not what we want. So delete. So that was a quick test that is working. So also 33, which I made a mistake, and also let's delete 80. Okay, everything. So IP role show what we have, nothing. It's just, I mean, the default configuration, but still we have IP route show table, for example 1000. We have the default route for this table, which because the socks is up. So the first thing is the other thing that we want to do is having a split tunnel from this machine, from this one to the server, in order to have a connection over the interface with the help of the proxy one. And I'm going to show you what do we mean by saying this. At the moment we have a tun interface is up. We have the IP address of ping 192.138.33.2, but we do not have one. Even it does reply with the echo back, but we do not have it here because this is the endpoint, and whatever comes to this, it sends it with the help of this client to the server. So I'm going to create data interface here as well, which IP address a grep tun33. I have it. I already created, like the we created here. I just need it to be up, which is if I run the server, it can get the request that comes to the server to the tun interface. For example, let me show you the example of this that's working. We can say curl x https 192.168.33.1, not 2, because there's no listening port. You can test that. 1990 ip5 api org echo. So it doesn't work. There is no listening on this IP address. But if we change it to 1, just notice it comes to the server with the authentication error, which means if we provide authentication, the request through the tunnel, notice this, it goes through the tunnel and comes here. So If I change, not change, check the authentication, rerun it again, and if I say proxy user, it should work. Proxy user, and it's going to work. Okay, we send the request over a private IP address to the tunnel. If you can remember, we did with iPref, it was on localhost 127.0.0.1, but this is on a real IP address, not localhost. So we can bind the interfaces. I mean, listening to a different interface if we want. So a kind of a split tunnel, it's a point to point. So also tunnel is split because the whole thing, the whole route request that they have doesn't go to the tunnel. It's just that one, or I don't know, whatever that we aim for. So API, IP-FI, org, echo. So it doesn't go to the tunnel, but if we request this, it goes to the tunnel. So we can do much more cleaner stuff. You can see it's a little bit ugly. You can see curl interface tun30 and then API.echo. So, and it doesn't work. The reason is simple, because with this user privilege we can't have access or bind socket to the interface because the user doesn't have privilege, but on root we can. You can see here, I mean, you can see that it does do a request to this one, comes to the client and goes to the server. So with the root, because it has the access to bind the socket to the interface, it can work. Here it doesn't work, and I can enable the sudo one and then entering my password, and works as well if we do the same thing. So we are able to send a request over the tunnel with this over the proxy with this tunnel interface. We can do the same thing for SSH as well. So we can say SSH dash bind. We want to send a request to, or I can do bind, because for bind means IP address like 132, and if I use capital B, which means tun33, and then the destination address we have. So we can't say, for example, 100, which is the based on the configuration I have. I should say 192.168.33.1, which is the endpoint of this proxy. And if I say root, because I am root under, and then if I say port is 11111, it goes to the tunnel. Using the tunnel interface, again, clean up. Let me get back. It requests to the tunnel interface, and then tun assembles that to the socks that we have, and then to the endpoint. So we can go with a split tunnel to SSH for more security. So this is a practical example. How can we use a, so the tunnel, I mean, the socks doesn't have any encryption, but it can be other things like HTTPS, which is we did already, but with the help of the TUN interface, not the proxy one. So we can directly, as a kind of split tunnel, we can go to the whole tunnel over the split tunnel. I mean, SSH over that. So that's another use case. Let's do something else, which is a little bit more interesting. So we can also do a full route. I mean, whatever that we have on this machine, everything system-wide, everything goes to the tunnel. So we will have a full tunnel, like what OpenVPN does. So a full tunnel to the, let me show you that what we have. So the default route is okay. tun2socks. What we need to have a full system-wide tunnel with the help of this tunnel that we have, this socks proxy, is having our changing our default route to the endpoint IP address, which is 192.168.33.1. So, but if I do this, if I say, for example, IP route show, this is the default route. If I replace it, we have to do, before replacing it, exclude the server IP address, otherwise it will be disconnected and we get ourselves out. We can't connect to the server back. So we first have to, what we have on keyboard, yeah, on keyboard, IP of this address. I have to first exclude the IP of this address. So I say IP route add. From this, I mean, the route to this one should be 192 to 1, which is the default gateway I have. So file exist IP route show I already added, so this is the reason it gives me, for example, the error it already be added. So I can say IP route delete default safely because already I connected to the server. So IP route show I don't have the default address, so ping, it doesn't work here. So let me hide this. So we can still SSH even we do not have a default route. You can see still we can SSH to this. We can also use the curl to cannot resolve the host because I think because of the default route. So it's not important because I think we have to we do not have it because we have to define a policy-based routing for the separate of resolving this domain name. So it's okay. We want to have a full tunnel, and then IP route show we do not have a default tunnel, default route. IP route add default via 192.163.1, yes, not 2, and then you can see everything goes to the tunnel. Just immediately I edit it. If I come here and if I say curl http ipfi API ipfi.org echo, it goes to the tunnel. If I say HTTPS, it goes to the tunnel. If I request for example 1.com DNS IP address recorder, everything goes to. So we have a full tunnel right now. IP route show we have a full tunnel with the help of this tun2socks proxy. Everything goes to the tunnel except itself, this server IP address, which doesn't go to the tunnel. So that was also a demo of full tunnel. Let's do something else which is more interesting, a little bit complex, but it is worth testing it. So IP route delete default. IP route delete default. IP route show, you can see error that we do not have a default one. I want to get it back. IP route add default via 192.168.2.1, and SRC is 192.168.2.10, which is the default route that they have. IP route show. This was the default route, and I set it back again. So if I check curl, my IP address is as usual, the normal IP address. It doesn't go through the tunnel, so nothing goes to the tunnel. Okay, but still tunnel works. You can see that here I have access to the server. So I want to do something else, which is usually Sandbox tun interface does that, and on Android also we have the same thing, that we can send a specific user to the tunnel, not the whole system. So if I check my ID here, IDU, I am user 1000. So we can send just this user network to the tunnel, not the whole system or other users, like we have, I don't know, 100 users on this system. Just this user, this /m, which is me user, goes to the tunnel, not anything else. So we can do that. It's a little bit complex. Hopefully I can explain it clearly, not be confused you with this configuration. So we have to first make a different policy. So already we have IP route show table 1000, which is the for the sending everything through the tunnel. We need another table to separate ourselves for that user, actually that user. So for some specific IPs like this one, it shouldn't go to the tunnel. So we say IP, and also we should be careful. IP role show with the priorities that we have here. So localhost has the highest priority with 0, and this is the lowest priority. So we should be also careful with the priority that we do. First, we have to exclude this one with higher priority. Anything that from our machine to this machine should not go to the tunnel. So we say IP role add from all to this one, to this IP address, lookup 128. It can be any number. We just got used to 128. So IP role add from all to this, and priority is, for example, like 1000. Okay, and then IP role add from 192 to 168 210, which is the IP address that they have. So I set it all but for making sure it works. Also, the IP address that they have to this also look up 128, and priority of this is, for example, 1001. So it has a higher priority. It has higher priority actually. I can say 1001, a little bit lower than this one. We see it in action that if I test that. Also, sorry, perf. IP role add from the not from the user, which is this user. IP role add with this user ID from all to this lookup 128. Perf is, for example, 1002. So IP role show. We can see that everything should go to the tunnel when we have. So do we have that table? IP role show table 128. Yes, it's the default using our default route. And if I check the server, I still have access. If I don't do this configuration, I will break my connection and I can't connect to the server. So then I can say IP role add user is 1000 lookup whatever this user, for example, wants to connect to. It should go to 1000, which is the IP address that we added for the default to go to this tunnel. And this is wrong what I did. Let me show you why. Because if I add this in this way, it has higher priority and it breaks this connection. So it was wrong. I have to delete it again. It doesn't work. You can see the loop back already. You can see the loop back. So, and I'm back to the server again. If I do this, I disconnect myself from the server. So I have to, or we should give it a lower priority. So we say pref, for example, 2000. A higher, not higher, lower priority. So add this one. Now you can see it's working. Even I didn't check that. So IP role show. These were for exclusion of the server IP address, and this is for that specific user. Everything should go to the socks out, which is IP route show table 1000, or socks out is the same thing. So it should go to the endpoint we created here. So let me close this. And if I check, for example, curl, it goes to the tunnel. And if I check HTTPS, it goes to the tunnel. But for this user, which is the root user, if I check the same thing, curl, it doesn't go to the tunnel. HTTP, it doesn't go to the tunnel. dig1.com over, for example, Cloudflare DNS, it doesn't go to the tunnel. But if I run it here, it goes to the tunnel. And you can see by the request that comes to this one, everything goes to tunnel for this user ID. So ID is 1000. So we did like the 3 or 4 demonstration using a split tunnel configuration. Gives us much more flexibility over the for example, OpenVPN or whatever, for example, the default tunnel interface they make on our machine. We can send a port, we can send a SSH, we can send a user or a full system wide to the tunnel. Hopefully it was useful and you learned. It's a little bit complex, I know, so make sure you can watch, rewatch the video and ask any question if you had about this topic. It's a little bit complex. You can read more about the IP route to configuration and the policy that we have. Thank you for watching. Actually, let me show you the cleanup, because after we did something, it's better to clean it up. So you can say IP role add flush table 1000, for example. Not add, the add is flush table 1000, flush table 108, IP role show, everything is back to normal. And IP route show table, for example, we do not need to clean this up because it doesn't have any effect, actually, because we do not have any role to send the request to. And we are back to normal. It doesn't go to the tunnel, it doesn't go to the tunnel, and also HTTP, it doesn't go to the tunnel. But if we request for example, 1990, still it goes to the tunnel. And if I say, for example, to 1990, let's see, curl x 127.0.0.0.1 1990 API IP fi.org echo. It still goes to the tunnel. So we did a lot of things, and hopefully it's clear so far. For next session, we are going to use the tun interface. I mean, this user, including the user, this port, or the port, for example 80, it can be done with the tun capability of the socks of the sandbox proxy. Hopefully we can have a review on this for next session. Thank you for watching. Let's go to next session.